This One's Wife. The treatment of Lilibet. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. How might this one's wife treat her daughter? Well, just like Archie, Lilibet is a non-intimate secondary source in the fuel matrix of this one's wife. Although this one's wife will believe that she loves her daughter, and narcissism will compel her to believe that, it is the case that her narcissism is just creating that impression in order to cause her to assert control in a particular way over her daughter. Because this one's wife has no emotional empathy, like any narcissist parent, she does not actually love her children. She thinks that she does, but she does not. Her needs come before that of the child. Now, this doesn't necessarily translate into the fact that the child will be completely left to their own devices. There are many narcissists that ostensibly look like decent parents because it makes them look good to ensure that their child is excelling at academia, that they do well in sport, that they're courteous, apparently well brought up, that they have everything that they need, that they live in a decent property, that they're clothed and fed and all other things. Of course, there are those children that despite those appearances, they are reminded of their failings, that they are emotionally neglected. There is always a downside with the involvement with a parental narcissist. It might be that they are distant to the child, and of course, in some instances it becomes far worse with the meting out of physical abuse, sexual violence, the failure to support the child in a meaningful fashion, that they are neglected, so they are left to fend for themselves, dirty, hungry, unwell, and so forth. What is the fate of Lilibet, having been thrust into the Sussex family? Well, whilst there are those that believe that she does not exist, on the basis that she does, her status is one whereby she will be viewed as the golden child. Why is this? Well, it stems, as I mentioned in the treatment of Archie, from the bias that this one's wife has towards females. You might find this rather odd, given the fact that this one's wife habitually flirts with men, has had a number of sexual partners, is rumoured to have been married 3 times rather than necessarily 2, that behaves as if every man wants to bang her. That is the mindset that her narcissism causes her to adopt in relation to men. But she sees herself as being a champion of women. That while she is quite content to use both sexes, she uses men through the application of sex and flirtation to get the prime aims, and she uses women by pretending to be on their side, by appearing to be a sister to them. Notice the way that she is regularly cuddled up to the likes of Gloria Steinem, that she has sought a friendship with Oprah Winfrey, that she has sought to utilise other women who have achieved, who have gained prominence, and that she comes along and seeks to piggyback what they've done, all in the name of female empowerment and female philanthropy. This one's wife, of course, is self-absorbed, and that remains the case in relation to her daughter. But she has the status of golden child because of this inherent bias towards women. This doesn't mean that she will be free from being chastised or criticised. Should she threaten this one's wife's need for control, then corrective devaluations may follow. However, it's more likely that those will be done in a less aggressive fashion than towards Archie, and in some instances in a benign way. Oh, Lilibet, you shouldn't have done that, whereas Archie would be shouted at. In some instances, excuses will be made for Lilibet's behaviour. She can't help it, she's just little, but Archie should know better. She will be triangulated with her brother, but in a favourable way, praised for what she has done, lauded for what she has achieved. This one's wife will attribute any successes that Lilibet achieves, be it what she says, what she does, how she behaves, as a consequence of her excellent upbringing and attributes that come from her mother. Whilst Archie and Lilibet are both extensions of this one's wife, it is Lilibet who will be viewed as the favourable extension. She will be repeatedly bathed in a golden light. She will be the one that is favoured. She'll be the one that, to the extent that this one's wife does give attention to her children, she will be the one that will get the most attention. She will be the one that will be brought up as a mirror image, even if physically she doesn't look like this one's wife, of this one's wife. That she will want to control what she does and where she goes and what she achieves as being the things that this one's wife would want to do, where she would go and what she would achieve. Thus, it isn't, of course, all of a wonderful time for Lilibet, because she'll be controlled heavily through the application of being a golden child, that while she's viewed favourably, she is still not exempted from the necessity of this one's wife controlling her. I don't see that she would necessarily smother her. Some narcissists do, but I regard this one's wife as colder in that regard. Instead, she'll get instances of where she is praised and held up as being a wonderful daughter, but a lot of the time this one's wife won't be around her. Some will say that that is a blessing. When she interacts with Lilibet, particularly when Archie is there, Lilibet will be the one who gains the attention. After all, she is the one that was furnished with the royal names. There was the appropriation of the late Queen's nickname, and of course the use of Diana, demonstrating once again how Lilibet is the favoured one compared to her brother. But there is trouble ahead. Whilst as a wee young thing, Lilibet will be the golden child. As she gets older, she will then start to be seen as the competition. This is commonly the case between a parental narcissist who is the mother and a daughter. As Lilibet becomes a young woman, perhaps being physically attractive, she will be seen as competition to this one's wife, who believes that she is the most physically attractive woman on the planet. This means that this one's wife will then start to criticise her daughter, criticising the way that she looks, what she wears, who she is with, by way of friends and ultimately boyfriend or girlfriend. An individual who was once the golden child, as she starts to assert greater independence and has more of a mind of her own, and as I've mentioned, acquired perhaps looks and figure, this will not be viewed with a sense of pride by this one's wife, but will be seen as competition. That because people show an interest in Lilibet, what she has to say, that there may be boys calling to spend time with her, whereas this one's wife believes they should be ogling over her and not over her daughter. Thus, competition will arise, and this one's wife cannot help herself, but exhibits that envy and behave in a way whereby she will chastise her daughter. The golden sheen will be lost, the corrective devaluations will be greater, and accordingly, whilst her treatment of her now will be golden yet distant, in the future, the two will be at loggerheads, as this one's wife seeks to tell Lilibet who she should fraternise with. And it may be at this time that Lilibet starts to realise that there is something very, very wrong with her mother. That she may well realise that perhaps if Harry and this one's wife are no longer together, that Dad was right about the things that he said. But, mark my words, while she will be treated in a warm, golden yet distant fashion at the current time, in the future there will be an almighty locking of horns between Lilibet and this one's wife, because this one's wife will not be able to stand any aspect of her daughter outshining her. As this one's wife's age advances and more wrinkles appear and things start to go south, she won't age gracefully. The treatments that she has experienced will look all the more ridiculous. And whilst her daughter will be young and glowing, as young people invariably are, this will only serve as a repeated reminder of the fragility of this one's wife's appearance, and cause her not only to seek to outdo her daughter, but to insult and put down her daughter because she is viewed as the competition. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.